welcome to the FPL USA Press Play Podcast. We're also now fully taking over the YouTube channels. I'm Bucks. I'm joined by my friend and my co-host, Brian. How are you, mate?
Oh, man, you started with the Australian mates. I'm just reeling a bit for all of my friends and family in Sydney, Australia after the horrific shootings earlier this past week. So you hit hard to start the episode, Bucks. But yeah, we have a number of Aussies in our mini leagues and some of our podcast buddies down there, Mira and Andrew and a few of the other guys
Peter,
from
yeah.
FPL SideNet. So very, very tough to see that happen. But let's pivot to more friendly and exciting conversations about FPL, as most managers had a pretty banging game week here. We're seeing some big scores, captaincy points galore, even if you went for Saka versus
The wrong
Haaland.
one.
So
yeah.
that's where we're at. And the fixture pileup is coming fast and furious. We're going to try and hit the airwaves as much as we can between family engagements before the holidays pick up. And then we have midweek football. The chaos is here. Hopefully, I have a few extra transfers to make. So, Bucks, let's dive into it here. What happened in game week 16 for you?
6 game weeks between now and I think it's, the week following New Year's. So it is absolutely time to hone in your rank and to really make sure that your bus team is set. Do not miss a deadline. That is the easiest way to fall down the ladder of your favorite mini league. All right, let's dive into the game week 16 quick recap. Brian, you low man on the totem pole once again. So just quickly shout out your game week score, whether you got a green arrow or not, and kind of what went right for your squad.
Sure, I ended on 74 points. The main miss was bringing in KDH instead of Wilson. So nice 15-point swing there. To be honest, I never considered Wilson. I just have not been really following with my team. So when I did look back, I think I would have been priced out actually by 0.1. So if I would have made those moves earlier in the week, then I could have probably been 15 more points ahead. But alas, 74, Saka cap for 22. And then, of course, two-shot Haaland, 2 goals, no problem. Still bangs in a 13-pointer. But more than half of my team blanked, so very, very tiny green arrow. And
hey, you take it. You take them.
Sure. But man, Bruno, he's hauling ass right now. So I'm glad that he's in the side. And yeah, I'm behind the curve on most things here. So I got to decide, where else I can target Wolves and Burnley, and if it's worth taking those 4-point swings to try and transfer players out there. So that's where I'm at.
You still landed, Brian. You had 4 double-digit returners. That's a pretty good backbone of any game week. We take that. I'll go next. I land on 82 points all out. I'm steadily climbing the ranks. I started when I wildcarded back in game week 6. I was all the way down in like 5 million rank. And now, I'm not quite where I want to be, but I'm slowly approaching the top 500K. I expect by the time Christmas rolls around, I'll be right around there. And that's setting me up for a really exciting second half of the season where I can start setting some more lofty goals. So I'm happy about where it went. Again, 82 points. My big miss was that I brought in Hincapie, and I was really thinking of bringing in O'Reilly and Man City get the clean sheet, and Hincapie does not. He gets some DEFCON, but the new report is that maybe Gabriel is closer than reports would have indicated even a week or 2 ago. So, that's looking like a future transfer that I'll have to book. Having said that, I can't complain. Another green arrow. That's kind of all I'm targeting right now, is just to stack green arrows on green arrows in the weeks where I'm not using chips. And I think that's going to be a big focus of the second half of this episode, which is when to use any remaining power boost chips that you might still have stashed away for the holidays. So again, both of us on green arrows, love to see that. And to Brian's point, you referenced it was a strong game week for the community. The average was 60 points. I feel like that's like unusually strong.
That's I thought it would have been
That's a
closer
good
to
number. That
65
means
or 70.
the top three captaincy options all at least had one return. That was Holland, Saka, and Mo Salah, notably. And then even the rogue captainers of, Foden or Bruno Fernandes still came good with double-digit returns. So there was just a lot of ways to get points this game week.
Yep. It's got to feel good to at least see some double-digit returners in your squad. And, I brought in Foden this week. I took out Semenyo. He still scores, and now he's playing Burnley. So I'm like, maybe I just bring him right back into
Maybe
my side.
back.
Yeah, maybe. But, yeah, I mean, between the template right now, it's pretty boring. It's like Foden, Saka, Bruno, Holland, Thiago, maybe O'Reilly and an Arsenal defender. So you're really playing on the periphery of can you nail that 15-point haul from Wilson? Can you find somebody that gets you double digits that's low owned and you're ahead of the curve? So that's kind of where we're at right now, because most players are going to be in a similar spot where they don't need to use more than 2 transfers going into a game week. So it'll be interesting to see how players navigate their remaining chips, which we'll talk about as well. So some high scoring game week action. You love to see it. So let's pivot to somebody who topped both of us with ease in our FPL USA Press Play Palooza mini league. Bucks, take it away. Who was the top manager?
Yeah, we got 2 alpha dogs in the mix this game week. Tie at the top, both on 99 points. These managers were basically the opposite of the Wolverhampton squad, as they're actually big dogs on campus as opposed to little pups all the way in the basement. So big congratulations in order for Marcin Adamski and their squad, Kameni Kupa and Alexander Yasevich's free hit squad. Who Yasik? Both of them captain Saka. They got additional double-digit hauls from Wilson, Holland, and Bruno Fernandes. And just an absolute class of a game week showcase from both Marcin and Alexander. Notably, I just want to shout out Marcin's squad is now inside the top 25K overall.
Nice.
And, Yasin, Alexander, and his squad, they're all the way inside the top 200K based on this single game week and the way that they really rocket shipped up the overall rank. So bravo to both you managers. You're not quite in top position in our mini league, but you're starting to make things very interesting at the top of the table. So congratulations to you both.
Couldn't get one more point and land on the triple digits, but they'll have to settle for 99-point red balloons there. So
big
done.
Settle when you half your rank in one game week. Man, it's the smallest violin is playing right now for both of you guys.
That's right. All right. I think the other things to note here from game week 16, we had a decent amount of injury updates, and then we also wanted to share an update on players that really matter for FPL in terms of those heading off to AFCON. So you should have a few transfers in the bank to deal with some of your holes in your team. But now that it's a combination of injuries plus AFCON players peacing out, where are we at, Buck? Should we start with the injuries first?
Yeah, let's do injuries first. It was a bit of a graveyard of game week 16, and just worked.
There's a graveyard in FPL and the NFL. Mahomes tearing his ACL. My guy in the Packers.
You got to know that this is when the workload of all the matches really starts to hit players in their soft tissue muscles. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but my younger brother is actually an orthopedic surgeon, and he says that constantly athletes in the NBA, in the NFL, when it gets cold, when you're mid-season, the games start piling up, the practice kind of starts going down. This is when those big injuries happen, and we saw that in the Premier League. I think let's start with the most notable names. Dunk goes down with a really bad injury. This is not a muscle injury. This is a contact injury. He has some fractured ribs and a lung puncture. He already went under the knife for surgery. He's going to be out for a couple weeks, and that means, that's like 6 to 8 game weeks if you miss just the rest of December. So he's a must sell. Szoboszlai, hamstring injury. KDH, hamstring injury. Grealish, hamstring injury. Doku, hamstring injury. Ben White, hamstring injury. Are you sensing a trend? There were a lot of muscles that got a little too stretched. Completing the list, we have Joe Gomez and Cody Gakpo, both from Liverpool. They left with muscle
Oh my
tightness,
goodness,
either in the
Bucks.
knee or the thigh.
We got
And,
more hammies than a Christmas Day dinner. Good
I know
Lord.
this is looking like my dream spread for the holidays. Just more bacon on bacon on bacon.
Jeez. And there's some other
Now,
players that are just like in and out of the mix right now. It's causing some ruckus in our teams. I'm thinking
yeah,
about.
and I just, it's like piling on to an already kind of semi-injury crisis for certain teams. I mean, specifically, if you were a manager and you decided to practice patience, maybe you didn't rage transfer someone who was flagged like Munoz out, and now all of a sudden you have KDH also. Like, you could be in a problem spot, even though you just got 5 free transfers. And then notably, we're also missing a number of goalies. So we're without Pope, Sells, and Emmy Martinez. So there are definitely some unfortunate managers in the hashtag FPL community that are looking at their team and they're like, golly, I practiced so much prudence with the free transfers for AFCON, and now I just have 4 flags. I have to use them all like in one fell swoop. So them are the breaks. That's the game, the cruel game that we play called FPL. Isn't that the truth, Brian?
Yeah, and then you have these players in your team and they leave before 60 minutes. There's nothing really worse than your player going out injured and it's like, wow, 1-pointer locked. Thank you very much for your service, and just like kind of cry to yourself because I don't care if they get a hammy injury past 60 minutes. Like, all right, maybe so it was like still got 3 points. All right, I'm sitting here with KDH 1-pointer, just instantly toast. Ugh.
And it's brutal because they were good picks. I think a lot of these players, when you look at them, they're not only players you probably recently brought in on the back of some really strong performances, but like I look at Szoboszlai, right? Liverpool's amazing fixtures. And with Mo Salah gone, he might be on penalties. I mean, this was really his time to make a name for himself in FPL. And all of a sudden, he's now on the sidelines. It's just brutal noodle.
Yeah. And he's somebody who's very cheap and affordable to get to as well. So, like, I was eyeing him up to join my squad. And now it's just like, I guess it's Ekatike and like nobody else in the attacking front line right now.
Skip.
I guess we're going to see Isak play alongside him since Gakpo is still out. Like it's a weird hodgepodge of players up front, but Liverpool have gotten a few results and we'll maybe never see Salah in a Liverpool uniform coming up here.
Nah, let's say that for a future pod.
We'll see.
Let's go to AFCON. Speaking of Salah, he's the most notable name that's going to the African Cup of Nations. The list is not short, though, on significant players for FPL. And then I think we should also highlight the teams that are losing, even the players that maybe are not most FPL relevant. They're losing a handful of starters. So Salah, Dango Atara from Brentford, and Marmouche. I think those are probably 3 and Mbomo. Excuse me, Brian. Evil Brian. Do not come for me.
Evil Brian.
Yeah, those are probably the 4 biggest names that are going to the tournament from an attacking output perspective. But, key players like Nori, Iwobi, Diouf, Ahmad, Wan-Bissaka, all those guys are also going. And so it's just going to really notably leave Sunderland, Everton, Fulham, Man United, and West Ham short on bodies. So I think those 5 teams will really need to have under the microscope in the next week or two to see if they're going to be able to cope for the rest of December with this fixture pileup. Like West Ham, they're not going to have either of their first choice wingbacks. All right, Diouf and Wan-Bissaka are gone. They weren't a very good defense with them there. So like, holy shit, they might be
dung with those players.
Yeah, I mean, they might be like playing against the Special Olympics squad from Cape Verde by the time this is all said and done. And then you look at a team like Everton, right? They're already pretty injured in attack. Ndai is leaving for AFCON as well. He's one I didn't mention. And then their midfield of Ghana, and there's just like so many of these players that they are starters. They hold really key positions in making sure the team is set up properly. And kind of all organized correctly. And it's like a couple injuries and a couple guys departing from AFCON. All of a sudden, you're basically starting a hybrid of your first team each and every match. Not great.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see, again, like the trickle down effect of a team's performances, especially when we're looking at like the fixture ticker and the FDR. Like, will Sunderland like fall off a cliff a bit? Like, we already think.
Yeah, I think they have 8
they've
players. They're the
overperformed
team
a
most
bit.
affected.
Yeah, so right now, like that's been a tough fixture for basically all teams. They've done so well out of the gate, but do they slip up and then, it's a team that we actually start, some players here in this pile up with confidence versus Sunderland. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then just, like how are some of these teams like Manchester United are starting to really find their attacking legs
Yeah,
under
great point.
them, but with these changes of both Bumo and Ahmad leaving, how do they fill those holes? Very interested to see just a couple, hopefully get a couple game weeks of data to see like, all right, is Cunha worth the investment, or are they going to be completely dysfunctional? Do you pair him next to Bruno in your sides, or is it actually something that's takes some time for the shitty manager over there to figure it out? So
oh wow, I knew that was coming. They've
Yeah.
become very unbalanced with AFCON. Kind of the entire right side of their attack is going on onto a different competition. And it's the notable thing for FPL managers just to remember is it's not like these guys are going to be on holiday getting rest, right? They're going to be playing extremely hard matches with high stakes for their country. And so there's, in an already very long and congested season, playing in the top league, they're now going to another super competitive competition. So, could be scary days for a lot of these clubs to see some of their top players going out the door.
All right, Bucks, thanks for the rundown there. Happy to inform our listeners on everything that's happening. I think the next phase here, as we look ahead to game week 17, is to also call out that there are only 3 more game weeks remaining in which you can use your first half chips. So,
good point.
You have wild card, free hit, triple captain, or bench boost. Now is the time. So we will answer a few #FPL community questions a little bit later on our process to analyze the best kind of pairing of game weeks left to use chips. But before then, that's just a quick PSA. Let's kind of go through, especially, thinking about managers who have free hit, like myself and Dan. When we look at some of these fixtures, I think my strategy is really to pile up versus Burnley and versus Wolves. Like that's still a great way to think about your free hit and trying to nail those 3 picks.
Proven strategy.
Yep, that's right. Even the second-class attackers from Liverpool, I expect them to just whoop up on Wolves at home. So I think these are kind of some moments that could be interesting for using your free hit chips. But this week, who do we have that are going to be the whipping boys this coming weekend?
Yeah, let's get out the crystal ball. Let's just start fresh. Let's look ahead to game week 17. This is a very bizarre game week. This is actually my least favorite setup from a kind of neutral watching perspective. I think there's 8 matches on Saturday, and then there's 1 on Sunday and Monday. I don't know why the heck they're doing that, but it is that's not great for me and my kids to get the maximum amount of footy in. So do better, Premier League. Just a word of improvement. Now, if we look into the teams with kind of the best matches for FPL hauls, go no further than Manchester City. They are going to be playing home versus West Ham. I did just preview that West Ham defense is going to be even worse than usual. So sorry about that, FPL fella, one of the biggest Hammer fans that we know. It could be time for
friend of the show.
Pep. Yeah, Pep could have his team absolutely just hammer the irons in this match. So I think there's a lot of focus that's going to go into using chips to get Manchester City players fully activated. Beyond that, Burnley at Bournemouth. Probably Bournemouth will have enough, right? Even though they just had that 8-goal thriller against Manchester United. They probably could score 1 or 2 against Burnley too, right, Brian?
Bournemouth is all sorts right now. They are putting in some interesting neutral watches, that's for sure. as a Senesi owner, I was just like, oh God, I don't think they're going to clean for a
Another
long time.
one? Another
So,
one?
yeah, I mean, you'd hope they can stop Burnley. I feel like Burnley are kind of spunky, though. They're good for one. They got a few attackers that come in. So
Lyle Foster gone for AFCON.
I
They're
see this
short
as like
one.
yeah, they got like Colin Fleming. That guy's been crushing off the bench, too. I see this as a 3-1 match. Tavernier has looked very impressive as of late. Kluivert's building up his match fitness. You have Semenyo. Even the shitty Evan Ilson, who has no form at all this year, he even scores a goal. So they got to roll into that with confidence. If you are on a free hit for 17, I would have at least 2 of their attackers, I would say, just because Burnley are very poor at the moment. So I think it's a good. I don't know.
If I was on free hit,
I don't know if I'd have a defender though. I might just go 2 attackers and that's it. Just based on what I've seen.
I don't know, because Senesi is a very template pick. The issue is Petrovic and the rest of the defense are not very good.
Rough showing from Petrovic on that Monday fixture versus Man U.
I didn't take any satisfaction in that as a diehard Chelsea fan. Not one iota. No, I did not. Last but not least, Brentford travel to Wolverhampton. They face off against Black Wolves Pups. And, the big thing to note is with Dango gone, that actually really hurts Thiago because Dango was the number 1 earner of penalties in the Premier League. And across all the big 7 leagues, he was number 1 with 5 drawn penalties.
Yeah, almost had his 6th one drawn. He was just a fraction offside over the weekend.
Just offsides. Good shout. And Thiago has been chief beneficiary, right? He steps up to the
4
spot.
or 5.
He puts it in the back of the net. He's on, I think, 11 goals this season. I think 6 or 7 of them are from penalties. So that's just something to be mindful of. But of course, this is a plus match for their attack. So, you mentioned the framework of a free hit 17 team. I would definitely want to have triple Man City, probably want to have double Bournemouth attack, and probably double, if not triple, up on Brentford as well. So that's already starts setting up kind of the skeleton of what potential free hit 17 could look like. You rate that, or you have strong disagreement?
No, I think that's good. I mean, you might want to avoid Man U versus Villa, Newcastle versus Chelsea. Like, those are some matches you can actively avoid if you're on free hits. I would still probably pile into Arsenal, to be honest, based definitely on Everton and their situation here, where they have been kind of up and down, but they have so many injuries, and then AFCON. So I would probably still triple up on Arsenal and try and find those lads. So plenty of options. We've seen Harry Wilson be on fire. They're playing NFO. NFO just won 3-0. So I think there's 9, a couple triple ups and then a couple double ups, and you're almost set. But I always like on free hit to at least have 2 big time punts. So if you want to go for Sade, for example, who's coming back into the side, maybe he can do some damage versus Wolves. I guess he might even template that.
I like that shout.
He's a player I'm actually looking at for this weekend instead of Semenyo to be a little different. But that match is away, so you never know if the Wolves can put in a decent shift. I mean, they had Arsenal on the ropes, man. I felt bad for Dan to go through that roller coaster. True roller coaster of emotion.
The football gods really put their fingers on the result in that one, because Wolves deserve more than they got. I think we're all both on the same page for that one.
Yeah.
2-1 to Arsenal.
We didn't talk about that up top, but we captained Saka, expecting him to have 4 or 5 shots on goal, etc. And then we get out of that match with 1 assist, probably some bonus, and then later on the other assist gets added. So he ends up on 11 points, and still not good enough to go against Holland, who just continues to rack up goals. So
we will have to have further conversation and introspection on whether Saka is really deserving of his premium price tag, because the guy just continues to tick along, but he's not ticking along like Bruno or KDH, where they have the upside of double-digit returns. It's kind of slow as she goes with Bakayo.
KDH.
Guy has 3 double-digit returns before you brought him in and you broke him. All right. So, Brian, you
Broke my
did
toy.
your pros pro because you really already went through and highlighted the best matches in real life. Just to quickly shout those out once again: Liverpool at Spurs. We have Manchester United at Aston Villa, and the opening match of the game week is Chelsea at Newcastle. I think our consensus is if you are on free hit, probably you want to skip those 6 teams. I would say outside of Ekatike. I think Ekatike would be kind of one of the differentials I would consider because Spurs, especially at home, have not looked good.
Oh,
So
I mean, Van Dijk and Ekatike seem like a great shout. Spurs at home. That's a
yeah, yum yum. I like that.
yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to discuss before we dive into some listener contributions?
Yeah, just looking at the form of a few of these teams, I think it's interesting to see like Crystal Palace are like struggling a bit. Sar is off to AFCON now. Ateta looks very much
Fitness
like without
issues, yeah.
without Sar on the pitch, like Mateta has been kind of bottled up. So that's something interesting to keep an eye on. I still actually don't mind them for clean sheets, but like this Leeds Palace match could be like pretty low scoring. Like you could probably start Rodon and just be fine with either a 3-pointer or maybe even upside there. Same thing goes for any defender you have from Palace. So my eyes, I'm watching those players. Fucking frauds at Brighton. My goodness,
I knew this was coming.
that team. I people bringing in. It was weird to see so many Minte and Welbeck owners. I'm like, this. Do you want to do this to yourself? I get maybe going with one player, but even
Yeah,
one of
the
the goats,
double
Jamie Pickett,
trouble.
brought in double attack for Brighton. I was like, oh, how can you watch this slop? It's so inconsistent.
And yet
every
those
match.
managers, Brian, are still like a million rank spots above you. What do you
Of
have
course,
to say for yourself?
Yeah. Oh, don't listen to me for FPL advice, but know that Brighton is fucking
Too
terrible.
real right
They're
now.
terrible.
One
for
thing
FPL.
that I do want to just note off the pitch, there's some really interesting rumor mill activity going on with the managers in the Premier League. Right now, we have word, Maresca is starting to kick his toys out of the pram at Chelsea. He made some snide comments at a press conference against the hierarchy and the leadership there. Ollie Glasner, the Crystal Palace coach, who's really come to the Premier League and distinguished himself as one of the best managers in the sport. I don't think he's necessarily, on the short list of top 10 in the world, but he's certainly one of the best 10 managers in the Premier League. So that's a really good starting point. And he has declined 2 offers to renew and extend his contract at Palace. So he will be a potential free agent come the summer. That's been kind of linked in tandem with some nervy news about Amarin and whether his position is safe at Manchester United. And last but not least, Marco Silva at Fulham is also out of contract in the summer and has rejected a renewal offer. So that's 4 pretty good coaches that could be on the market and could be seeing some movement. That's a major shakeup, in my opinion.
I would not be surprised if Glasner is somebody who is trying to go for a bigger job, just based on the job that he has done at Palace and the lack of recruitment that they frankly have. I mean, they've lost Eze and Elise. They haven't invested a ton of money into other places in the squad. We think Gahey is probably gone from that team as well. So, like, he's really squeezing every ounce of lemonade out of that team right now. So I would not be surprised if he's somebody that I just think from like a 1-game sample size, we've seen him really put in some great shifts against, especially in tournament play and against Liverpool, against Manchester City. Like it's been impressive to see him in those big spots. But they don't have very much depth, and it's going to be a grind, especially with some of these players likely out the door.
Well, you mentioned the team where I think Glasner really has had Liverpool's number over the last couple seasons, and Palace are kind of Liverpool's bogey team, even before they stumbled this season.
Not kind of.
They
are 100%.
So I think, with Slot kind of in rough waters, despite the recent 2 victories back to back, I think that if the time comes and his bell is rung at the end of the season, Glasner would kind of be a perfect replacement for Slot. He might know the
Wow.
team and what
Interesting.
dynamics work for that squad better than Slot, to be honest. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, very dramatic, very dramatic. All
Oh, you
right,
like
Hux.
that? All right.
I think let's pivot now to our hashtag FPL community questions and the mailbag.
Let's open the mail.
Shout out to all of our Amazon Prime delivery drivers and all the drivers during the holidays who are helping us put gifts underneath the
Yeah, tip
tree,
those
and a
guys.
couple
Give them some treats.
leave
Give them
some
some
candy out
snacks.
for them. That's right.
Couple shekels, couple dollar bills. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I just took care of our lovely USPS guy, John. Great name, great fella. Gave him a little 20.
Well,
let's go.
Wow, look at you. You must have really had a good year. Give him a 20.
I always have a good year, baby. I'm living my dream.
That's right. All right, the first question is from @FPL Paz. He wants to know our thoughts on free hit 17, 18, or 19, still deciding to use the chip. And then also at Hugo FPL wants to know best time to use his 2 remaining chips. He also has free hit and then bench boost. So let's first of all just talk about free hit. I have the chip remaining. I'm tentatively looking at using it in probably 18, but not
you
really
didn't fully know your answer before
not
you
really
took
married
that.
to it. It's just like when I looked at the schedule, I'm like, well, I could probably pick 3 random attackers from Liverpool versus Wolves at home. Maybe it's Isak and Ekatike and Szoboszlai. Like, I have no idea, but it could be a random trio there that helps get me, a good rank rise potentially. And then I'm also like, for 18 specifically, I think I was also looking at like, all right, is there a world in which we just see like, what am I looking at here? Is there a world where like Cole Palmer is like an option versus Villa? But at the same time, they play Bournemouth in game week 19. Maybe you'd prefer his fitness to a few more matches and then a more open match versus Bournemouth. So, those are some of the differentials that I'm kind of looking at that could make up ground. I think in game week 18, you also have Arsenal versus Brighton, so maybe there's a play there. But most people are tripled up or doubled up on Arsenal assets, so like that's not really a reason to free hit. Just kind of rambling here. I mean, I'm still probably, whenever I free hit, I'm still going to probably have 2 City players, maybe 3 City players, because they play West Ham this week, NFO, and then Sunderland, and they just crushed Sunderland at home. So
I
I'm really
think
just
I'll
focusing on
jump in here.
Liverpool
I think
attackers.
the biggest team that you need to be addressing and really doubling down on your free hit is probably Liverpool, right? With Salah gone and been out of form, and now Szoboszlai injured. Those were kind of 2 of the guys that a lot of managers either had in or had plans to bring in. And so, I look at Ekatike and Isak. They're both expensive and hard to fit in. And then you maybe want to pair in a Verge or a Gakpo once they're fit, right? It's like free hit. In 18, they have excellent fixture. They play Wolves. In 19, they play Leeds. That's another great fixture. So the thing to note between 18 and 19 is that 18 is a standard game week. It happens over a weekend, and 19 is the short break. So 19 is, I think, a Tuesday to Thursday game week right after Boxing Day. It's a little bit unusual, the schedule this year. And
only
just
one
because
match
of
on
that
Boxing
alone,
Day. We have Newcastle and Man U on Boxing Day. Just one match.
Yeah, I think because of that, I probably lean to free hit, like you said, in 18, because there'll be a little bit more rest and predictability than in 19, where, your standard squad, probably is filled with safer players than your free hit team will be.
At
You
the
rate
same
that,
time, if you're really willing to roll the dice and free hitting in a short game week where other managers might have a lot of rotation, like we could see Saka benched, we see some of the other stalwarts in people's teams like just rotated or rested, then maybe you could take advantage of that. But it's you're gonna basically have one day to free hit. Don't love that, but it could be an edge where if we see anybody who has a knock coming out of game week 17, for example, there's
like rest,
for
and
18,
then they for sure go.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
just from
you know
the
what?
star players
It's
who
a
have a
good
lot of
point you
budget.
just made, Brian, because oftentimes we overthink this FPL hobby of ours. There's always those posts that absolutely drive me up the wall, which is like, this manager is ranked inside the top 200. They haven't used a transfer or a chip.
I
And it's
saw
like,
that too
well,
from
great.
Focal.
I'm pouring an hour at least every week into this, and I'm like ranked at million in the world. So like, it's so much luck. It's very small variance, but again,
Dude, that team
whatever.
had Caicedo, Rice, Bruno G, like a bunch of
Yeah,
a
Pope
bunch of Def
and
Connors.
and Raya. It was like the most insane, very far from I think what most engaged managers would have. But maybe we're not as smart as we all think we are. With that being said, I think this is a very team specific setup. Looking at Paz's team specifically, he has Sosboslai out and he has Minte. So just based on those two alone, I'd probably lean towards 18. That way you can swap those guys out now, set them up for players you want in 19 and beyond. And then in 18, you kind of get Ekatike and Isak alongside Holland, and you kind of build your free hit around that major differential of going with Liverpool attack and Holland against Wolves. I mean,
Yeah, interesting.
I'm not a brainiac here. Target the worst team.
Yeah, I mean, I think this free hit, I will definitely be going all in on. Like, if I'm going to choose like defenders, for example, I might do a triple up in defense and just hope that like I can spike. And to be honest, like right now, I'm only playing for like some bounties in a few mini leagues. So I'm just hoping that maybe I can spike a little payday for one of these game weeks when I free hit, when most people are just using transfers and having a standard game week. So we'll see if I can get lucky there.
The less stakes, the better, Brian. That's been our experience, right? Last year, you were like so stressed about having your first child. You had by far your best season ever. I mean, for me, when I was a rookie, when I didn't know to do any of this research or to wait on transfers or any of that stuff, I murdered all the mini leagues I was in. I was like top 15K, top 10K going into the last game week. So sometimes less is more when it comes to the information war around FPL. But, I think definitely use those chips. Don't burn chips. You can burn transfers. Don't burn chips. That makes me cry.
And then Hugo was asking about when he should bench boost. I mean, looking at his squad, he's got a really solid squad. We'll put it up on screen. But looking at this, I mean, you just have to use 2 transfers and take out Marquis, Gay, Gooey Man, and then KDH. So it doesn't leave you with much room. But you might have to make 3 transfers.
You'd probably have to sell.
Some funds.
You have to sell probably Saka to enable that. If I'm looking at the team, so I would probably
you just need fringe players. So like, I would not be.
Dewey is like 4.3 million, dude. You're not gonna have money. You can't buy a loaf of bread with a Dewey and an injured KDH.
Yeah,
times are hard these days.
You drop Enzo down to Wilson, that frees up $1 million. Then you can get somebody in for KDH, and then Gooey up to a starting striker and just bench boost. And I mean, you and I, we all bench boost with like 14 players, right? So
yeah, who cares?
It's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't like drastically uproot my team.
I think
3 transfers and bench boost.
I would get Wilson in. I would keep Enzo. I think he's going to start with Caicedo still being suspended. So I think I would go like, all right, I'm going to spitball here. I would go Saka to Semenyo, Dewey to, that's where it really, the forward line
like
is.
Jimenez. You're just trying to get a starting Jimenez, striker.
And I would go KDH to Wilson. There you go. Triple up on Fulham. You get a really good attacker at home versus Burnley. That's about all she wrote.
I mean, we just talked about how we think Saka and Arsenal might crush Everton. So I would be.
I don't think Saka's getting a double-digit return. He's not delivering to his price point, in my humble opinion.
What are you talking about? He's been crushing it for points the last couple game weeks.
Yeah, he's mid. All right, let's keep it moving to other listener
4
questions
points
around
last
the community.
Week, DEFCON, brother. 6 points the week before. It was flying,
dude. If we didn't,
5
have to
points the week
use
before
the
that?
dark arts on the admin, we wouldn't have gotten either of those assists, let alone both of them.
That's right. All right, next up, let's move it along here. The Run CMC, aka Corey, he wants to know, he's missing out on all the Wilson points. Is it still worth bringing him in? Fixtures for Fulham are so-so, but some players are looking for AFCON. He should be good for at least to start all these matches coming up based on his form, right?
He's the most informed player. He's kind of exact situation.
Phil Foden would like a word. Phil Foden.
No,
Fodinho
I was going to say,
like
he's the most informed mid-table player right now. He's very similar to Chris Wood last season. And it was like, you didn't miss the boat on Chris Wood. If you would have gotten him 3 game weeks late, you still would have gotten a ton of points. So I think the same is true right now with Wilson. He's clearly the talisman right now. He's going to start. He's fit, and he's cheap. So it's like points per million. He is absolutely bossing many players that are well above his price. So I really like him as a player, and I don't think it's too late. I mean, still has Forest and another, I think, West Ham, right, to come.
Yeah, let's pull it up. Fulham have NFO at home, West Ham away, Crystal Palace away, Liverpool at home, then Chelsea.
So it's 3 pretty good fixtures.
Yeah, 3 fixtures that are fine.
And he's going to start them, so I like that. He doesn't leave London.
He's so cheap,
in the next 3 weeks. So
yeah, he's so cheap, so that definitely helps as well. So definitely a good shout based on his form. And like Fulham, I don't know, I kind of expect them to score like a goal versus Liverpool or Chelsea, like in one of those games. Like maybe they get clean, but they'll probably score one in one of those. So
sir.
Yeah. Although I've been down on Chelsea's defense, and they've cobbled together all these clean sheets, now tied joint first with Arsenal, with fucking Bob the Monster Sanchez in the back of the goal.
No comment.
Crazy.
No comment. Let's keep moving. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it, Brian. Let's go to our co-host. We miss you, Dan. We know you are going to be back on an episode before the end of the year. We're excited to make that happen. FPL_Black.
Yeah, he's coming on game week 18 with me when we're on free hit.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Asking for the best sub 7 million attacker for managers that have to replace KDH or Szoboszlai. You got a favorite that isn't named Harry Wilson?
Sade is just a punt.
Ooh.
Like it's
Sade.
He's 7 million, I think. So he can be an easy transfer in potentially. I have Anthony Gordon, who piss hair went off at the 58th minute and got me another fucking 1-pointer. So between him and KDH this game week, I was like, I'm so sick of you two killing me to just get these 1-pointers in my starting 11.
A super deep cut?
Yeah.
We have not seen anything from this player, but I just feel with the Doku injury and just some rotation needing to come to Man City, I feel like this might be time for Oscar Bob to get his moment. I wouldn't necessarily be like the first one to transfer him in, but he's so cheap, and I feel like he's going to get minutes over this festive period with their kind of Marmouche gone and, Doku injured. They got
I'm sorry,
spots
Bucks.
to fill.
I think you're completely off the boil there because
maybe too deep a cut. I hit the bone. I hit a nerve.
Cherokee is the player to go for if you're looking for just a 6.5 pound player.
Yeah.
If you have Foden and Holland, but you don't have like a defender, Cherokee has been pulling up some trees lately. All mostly assists, but man, he looks very, very much like
he looks amazing.
In a few years, he could be that KDH role. So intuitive in terms of linking up with his teammates and just making crazy passes. I mean, the what was it? The 2 weeks ago when he had the crazy pass for the header for Foden. Insane.
He's a special talent. Probably Semenyo.
He's coming off, let's see what. He's got 6 points, 12 points, 4 points, 7 points, 1 point, 10 points in his last 6 game weeks. So not bad.
The issue is he's not a nailed starter. That's kind of the big issue.
Yeah. I mean, he's
more nailed than Bob, that's for sure. So
yeah. I don't know. He's just a player who I would have my eyes on as like a fun differential.
I like the Shad's shout. I do think probably, Semenyo, he's more expensive than this price bracket, but he's a player that, since he's not going to AFCON, I definitely forgot that. Uh, he's a player, talisman on a good team that attacks constantly. I feel like he should be on watch lists all across the community.
Yeah, Tavernier is also like if you wanted to fade Semenyo, Tavernier is like gets less yellow cards than Semenyo and has been playing a decent amount of 90s. Let's see, game
Definitely,
week 8.
Semenyo could have gotten a red card.
Yeah, very fortunate.
I was
fortunate.
shocked that was not more seriously reviewed. If he was wearing Chelsea blue as opposed to the alternate third kit blue for Bournemouth,
Yeah,
it might have been a different story.
So
But
Tavernier, I think, is a good shout out because he has started.
He has 4 double-digit returns, though. I think that's the most he's ever had.
He started since game week 8, all he's 90s fit. Except for one match. Yeah. So he's fit. He's 5.5. So I think that's also like interesting if you wanted to take a short-term punt and then put him on the bench. But Burnley at home, Tavernier's been playing well. Could be interesting.
All right. Last but not least, I do want to just mention triple captain. I think there's really there's 3 game weeks left, so just let's highlight the kind of best opportunities to use it or lose it. Holland or Phil Foden this game week against West Ham. Then you fast forward to game week 18. Ekitike plays Wolves at home. Could be Van Dijk if you fancy a clean sheet and maybe a bullet header. But I think Ekitike is, it's always more fun to go for an attacker, even in the year of DEFCON. And last but not least, Bruno Fernandes plays Wolves in game week 19, and Ekitike gets Leeds also in game week 19. So those are kind of
for me, it's
premium
so
players.
Hard. It's so hard to triple captain a player without penalties. Like I don't think Ekitike would take them over McAllister, for example, or somebody else that we've seen actually like do well on pens on Liverpool. So I think it's just like really hard to go with Ekitike for a triple cap. Holland, game week 17, I agree with you. Honestly, Bruno, game week 19 versus Wolves is just one of those where like they're not going to play a lot of defense, but he comes close to getting DEFCON. His floor is so high. He's on pens, corners. He's been hitting a few fucking golazzos,
free kicks. Yeah, he's got a lot of ways to score.
Yeah, even though Ekitike shoots all the time, like he shoots on sight, he never passes, which is great for FPL. Like that's what you want, but like not having as many avenues other than open play just kind of puts me off of him as a triple cap option. So I would probably go with an old faithful that somebody's on pen. So I like your Holland listed here in 17 or Bruno in 19.
Okay, easy peasy. The FPL USA Press Play crew co-signs either Holland in 17 or Bruno in 19. Use the triple cap on a premium whenever possible, and having penalties is just an easy extra feather in the cap. With that, Brian, it's time for us to get out of here. But before we do, we need to give the listeners our transfer plans and captaincy shouts.
Shouts. What do we got
Shout
here?
To the heavens, baby.
I got a few problems in my team. Should we start there?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm here.
Yeah. So I have right now, I'm in a 4-4-2. And I have KDH, but like I have 0.4 in the bank. Can't get the Wilson. I could get the Tavernier. So
and how many free transfers do you have, Brian?
I have 4 free transfers.
Ooh,
so
yum.
I have some room, but I'm going to free hit next week. So I'm kind of like wanting to have more transfers in 19. So I only want to make like 1 or 2 moves to my side. Rodon is first bench right now, but it'll be between starting him and Crystal Palace Richards. So I have Gordon and KDH, right? So like Gordon could become, I'm like have 0.1 wiggle room to get him to Semenyo. Not bad. Burnley 1 week punt, and then I'll keep rotating that slot. That probably becomes like if Szoboszlai's hammy isn't so bad, like in a couple game weeks, I'll probably look for Gordon to become Szoboszlai or something like that. So it's him or Sade, I guess, for the 1 week punt. Just target Wolves, target Burnley. That's where I'm looking at, but I think it's pretty hard to go against Semenyo versus Burnley, right?
Yeah, I think I would. And you can't make the double switch. You can't go Gordon to Semenyo or Gordon to Shad and Dewsbury to Wilson.
No, I can't do both of those because those are both upgrades. I could do I'd have exact money to do Gordon to Sade and then KDH to Wilson or Tavernier. I could probably
Yeah, I like
pull
that.
that off.
I would skip Semenyo based on that because you're getting 2 players, and I think I would start Richards. I would put Richards first bench ahead of Rodon, so I would go to a 3-5-2.
Yeah,
and
I
I
can
would
do that.
have
Let's see.
Shad and Wilson going against lesser opponents, and they're kind of both still mega differentials, which I like too at your rank. So you're playing for 1 week glory here for the next couple weeks, and why not spike it with 2 spicy differentials?
Yeah,
And then you'll have zero in the bank, right? When you do free hit, and then when you come back, you'll have 3 free transfers in 19. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
That's pretty good.
Not bad. Yeah, so I'll probably do a combination of either 1 or 2 moves. And then captaincy, it's got to be Erling Haaland, especially when most people who have triple captaincy are looking at him again, right? So, yeah, crazy.
I'm a little more straightforward. Easy breezy lemon squeezy. I already made 2 early transfers. It's very unlike me, but I just had massive FOMO, and watching my team continue to rank rise but have absolutely no bench was driving me beyond insane, because you look around and you feel like your starting 11's doing well, and then one guy just doesn't play or doesn't feature. And you see on some of these apps the tools that are very helpful to those engaged managers, like Live FPL or like FPL Game Week, just to name a few of our favorites, right? It's like people are getting Senesi bench jam, they're getting KDH bench jam.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Goodmanson and Mukiele as kind of my forlorn saviors on the bench that are coming in with 0 and 1 pointers. Right? Yeah, so I went early. I went Enzo down to Wilson. I'm going to start him for the next 2 for certain. And then I went Goodmanson, who was set to price fall once again. He was going to be 3.8 million, which yuck, I do not want that. I was able to go all the way up to Nico O'Reilly. So I feel like I've really strengthened my starting 11. Yes, strengthened my starting 11. And now I have Thiaw, again, who's a very solid player, and I'll be starting him a lot. But he's playing my Chelsea Blues. It was like a head and heart and FPL alignment. He's now my first bench. Love that.
Yeah. Nice.
And I'll be using triple captain on Erling Haaland. So this will be my final chip of the first half. I feel like for once I actually planned and followed the plan almost to perfection. And I will be bringing over at least 1 free transfer into game week 18, hoping to then roll to have 2 in game week 19. That's the plan right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think you might want to have another, transfers available to somehow bring in the likes of Cunha for that Wolves at home match in 19. You might want the double up of Cunha and Bruno there. Yeah. So having a few transfers to maybe upgrade one of your mid-tier, mids up, that could be pretty vital to that. So I rate it. All right. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We appreciate you guys tuning in, checking us out on YouTube at FPL USA Press Play. Bucks, you can tell the listeners where else they can find your handsome face blabbering
face
around,
for radio,
spewing some words.
Yep, yeah, exactly. You can find me on X, on IG. We are under the handle FPL USA Press Play on all social. I'm FPL USA Bucks. Brian is FPL USA Brian. Very creative here. And then our third co-host, who is going to be back, FPL_Black Wolf. He is the creator of the hashtag FPL USA community. He runs an amazing league and is arguably the most pained and tortured Wolves fan here stateside. Man. But we still love him. You bring it up
every episode, Bucks. Just let the man die in peace.
No, I love him too much. I want him to know I care about him still.
Yeah, poor Wolves.
Anyway, we love you. Keep your family safe and close. And despite all the darkness, we hope that these holiday seasons and the FPL game bring you some light. So thank you, Brian. This was a fun one to record. And thank you to our loyal listeners. We love you.